What if you found the diary of a teenage girl who documented her own disappearance, word for word, days before it happened? What if, upon reading those pages, written in blue pen in youthful, cursive handwriting, you realized that she wasn't just recording random thoughts or typical teenage dramas, but rather leaving a meticulous record of something impossible that was happening to her, something she tried to communicate, something she tried to understand, but which ultimately led her to a place from which she never returned? This happened. It's not fiction. It's not a made-up story meant to scare you. It's a true story of a 16-year-old girl who, in the last weeks of her life, wrote page after page about what she called the night call, a phenomenon that began subtly, which she initially thought was just her imagination or perhaps school stress, but which grew in intensity until it completely consumed her thoughts and eventually her very physical existence in this world. Imagine for a moment that you are the parent of a teenage girl. She's a good student, has friends, seems to be navigating adolescence with normal challenges, but nothing alarming. And then one day she disappears, simply doesn't come home from school, doesn't answer messages, vanishes without leaving any obvious trace. The police are called, searches are organized, and then someone finds her diary hidden under her mattress. And when you start reading the last entries, your blood runs cold, because there, with the date and time, she had documented that something was calling her, pulling her somewhere, and that she felt she couldn't resist much longer. Have you ever experienced this? Ever had that feeling of being called by something you can't see or explain? Perhaps when you were younger, when your mind was more open to perceiving things that adults have learned to ignore or rationalize. Because that's one of the most disturbing parts of this case. The victim was a teenager, at an age where the line between imagination and reality sometimes seems more permeable, where inexplicable experiences can be dismissed by adults as drama or attention-seeking. But her diary didn't read like teenage drama. It read like scientific documentation of a phenomenon she was desperately trying to understand. She described the calling in specific detail, when it happened, always in the early hours of the morning, how it sounded, not exactly like an audible voice, but like knowledge implanted directly into her mind, where it was trying to take her, a specific place she could visualize but had never visited in real life. And even more disturbing, she wrote about how it was becoming increasingly difficult to resist, as if her own will was being gradually overridden by something external. What you're about to discover may surprise you and make you question everything you thought you knew about premonitions, about the special sensitivity some people, especially young people, may have to perceive, things that others cannot. Stay with me until the end, because this is not just a sad story of a missing teenager. It's a case that forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about the nature of consciousness, about whether there are callings or compulsions that come from sources we don't understand, and about what happens when someone finally gives in to that calling. The diary had 83 pages filled in the 3 weeks leading up to her disappearance. 83 pages where she tried to process, understand, and document what she was experiencing. And when you read those pages in sequence, you see a transformation happening. She starts out skeptical, questioning her own sanity, trying to find rational explanations. But as the days go by, as the calling becomes more insistent, you notice her mindset shifting. She begins to accept that something real is happening, something that goes beyond stress or an overactive imagination. There were passages where she wrote directly to whoever found the diary later, as if she knew on some deep level that she wouldn't be coming back, as if she were leaving evidence, clues, trying to explain the inexplicable to the people who loved her and who would be searching for answers. And these passages are the most painful to read because you feel her urgency, her desperation to make someone understand before it was too late. But no one understood in time. No one read the diary while she was still here. And when it was finally discovered days after her disappearance, it became both a crucial clue to the investigation and a chilling document of how someone can foresee and even document their own end without being able to prevent it. Are you ready to meet who this girl was? To understand the life she led before the nightly calling began to change everything? Because to truly grasp the weight of what she wrote, we first need to know the person behind those words. But before we continue, I need to make a heartfelt request. If you're feeling that shiver, if this story is already affecting you in some way, if you also believe that teenagers sometimes perceive things that adults can no longer see, leave a comment below. Tell me, have you ever had a strange experience when you were younger that no one took seriously? Have you ever written something in a diary or note that later seemed prophetic? These accounts you share are fundamental because often the most impressive stories aren't in official records, but in the personal experiences of people like you who had the courage to pay attention to the inexplicable. And look, if you're enjoying the content so far, if you're realizing that this isn't just another disappearance case but something that touches on much deeper issues about premonition and the special sensitivity of young people, click that like button. It may seem like a simple gesture, but it makes a huge difference. That's what shows the algorithm that stories like this, real cases that treat the mysteries surrounding interrupted young lives with seriousness and respect, deserve to be seen by more people. Each like is a sign that you value this type of in-depth investigation, this respectful dive into mysteries that many prefer to ignore because they are too complex or too painful. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is the perfect time. Because every week I bring you real cases like this one. Disappearances involving premonitions, young people who tried to warn that something was wrong but weren't heard. Mysteries that force us to question whether there's more to teenage intuition than we usually recognize. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content that goes beyond the superficial, that treats each victim with dignity while honestly exploring the inexplicable aspects of their stories. Don't forget to activate the notification bell too, because you won't want to miss any of these cases that I'll continue to bring you. Now that you're part of this community of people who aren't afraid to explore the deepest and most painful mysteries, let's find out who the girl behind that diary was, because understanding who she was makes everything she wrote even more impactful. Her name was Lily Chen, and she was 16 years old when she disappeared in September of 2021. Lily was exactly the type of teenager you'd expect to find in any American high school. She wasn't the most popular girl, but she wasn't isolated either. She had a solid group of 3 or 4 close friends, got good enough grades to satisfy her parents without being the perfect student, and was navigating adolescence with the typical ups and downs we all remember from that stage of life. Physically, Lily was a girl of average height, about 5 feet 5 inches, with straight black hair that she usually tied in a ponytail because she said it was more practical. She had dark brown eyes that her friends said were expressive, the kind of eyes where you could see exactly what she was feeling even when she wasn't saying anything. She had worn glasses since she was 12, round frames that she thought made her look more serious and intellectual, according to what she wrote in her own diary months before the events we are discussing. Lily lived in Portland, Oregon, with her parents and a 13-year-old younger brother named Max. Her father, David Chen, worked as a software engineer at a medium-sized technology company. Her mother, Rebecca Chen, was an English teacher at a different school than the one Lily attended. They were a middle-class family, living in a 3-bedroom house in a quiet, safe neighborhood. On Sundays, they had a habit of having dinner together with no electronics at the table, a rule Rebecca insisted on maintaining despite her children's complaints. By all standards, it was a functional and loving family. At school, Lily was in 11th grade, the second to last year of American high school. She particularly enjoyed literature and history, but struggled a bit with math and science. Her teachers described her as a thoughtful student, the type who didn't talk much during classroom discussions, but always had something interesting to contribute when she did. She didn't participate in many clubs or extracurricular activities. She had tried the drama club the previous year, but felt it wasn't for her. What she truly enjoyed was reading and writing. And that's where the diary comes in as a central part of who Lily was. She had started keeping a diary at age 13, encouraged by her mother, who believed that writing was a healthy way to process teenage emotions. Lily took the suggestion seriously, and over the years filled several notebooks with thoughts, observations about life, short stories, and occasional poems. It wasn't something she shared with anyone. It was genuinely private, a space just for her where she could be completely honest about what she was feeling. Her close friends, Emma, Sophia, and Zoe, described Lily as quiet, but with a dry sense of humor that caught you off guard. She wasn't dramatic, didn't seek attention, and wasn't always posting on social media like many teenagers. She had Instagram and TikTok, but used them more for observation than for creating content. Her mindset was more introspective. She liked to process things internally before sharing them with others. In terms of romantic relationships, Lily had never had a serious boyfriend. She'd had a crush on a boy in 10th grade that didn't amount to anything, and that left her somewhat disillusioned about the whole teenage dating aspect. Her friends joked that she was married to her books and her diary, and Lily usually laughed and agreed. She wasn't in a hurry, saying she preferred to focus on her studies and getting into a good college. Lily's dreams for the future were modest but sincere. She wanted to study literature, or perhaps journalism in college. She talked about maybe becoming a writer or an editor, or working in some field where she could be surrounded by words and stories. She had started writing a novel the summer before her 11th year, an urban fantasy story about a girl who could see things others couldn't. She never finished that novel, and the dark irony of that premise did not go unnoticed by those who read its pages afterward. Lily's typical weekday routine was predictable and safe. She woke up at 6:30, had breakfast with her family, and caught the school bus at 7:20. Classes started at 18 and ended at 3 hours. She usually went straight home, did her homework, had dinner with her family, and spent her evenings reading or watching TV series. On weekends, she sometimes went out with friends to the mall or the movies, but just as often she stayed home, perfectly content with her own company and her books. There was nothing in Lily's life that suggested imminent danger. There was no involvement with drugs, no toxic relationships, no serious problems at home. Her parents were attentive without being suffocating. They gave her space, but also maintained open communication. Lily got along well with her younger brother, the kind of typical sibling relationship where they occasionally argued but fundamentally cared for each other. Behind the scenes of Lily's life, there was a sensitivity that not everyone saw. She was the type of person who noticed things, small details about people's behavior, subtle changes in the environment. Her friends said that Lily sometimes knew when something was wrong with someone, even before that person said anything. She had a strong intuition, an ability to read between the lines. This made her a good friend, someone you could trust to truly understand what you were going through. And perhaps it is precisely this sensitivity, this openness to perceiving things beyond the obvious, that made her vulnerable to what was to come. Because when the night call began, Lily didn't have the mindset to simply dismiss it. She paid attention. She tried to understand. She documented it. And this decision not to ignore it, not to immediately rationalize it, may have been both her attempt to understand something important and what led her to her tragic fate. The impact of Lily's personality on how the story unfolded is crucial. If she were a different person, more skeptical, more inclined to dismiss strange experiences, perhaps she would have ignored the call and it would have eventually stopped. Or perhaps not. Perhaps the force pulling her was so strong that no personality could have resisted. But the fact is that Lily was who she was, a sensitive, reflective girl who trusted her perceptions and who used writing as a way to process experiences. And when something extraordinary began to happen, she did what she always did. She took her diary and began to document it. Lily's parents, in the months and years since her disappearance, have spoken publicly about their daughter, trying to keep her memory alive, not just as a victim of an unexplained mystery, but as a real person with a personality, dreams, and quirks. Rebecca Chen says she misses finding Lily curled up on the sofa with a book, hearing her sarcastic but affectionate observations about family life. David Chen says he misses how Lily always asked him to explain how things worked, from technology to abstract concepts, with that genuine curiosity she had about the world. If you're realizing now that Lily wasn't just another statistic, but a real person with a life full of small moments that made her unique, comment below, "She was real." Because now we need to understand exactly how she used that diary and why that became so crucial to understanding what happened. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because Lily's diary wasn't just a notebook where she occasionally scribbled random thoughts. It was a disciplined, almost ritualistic practice that she consistently maintained for 3 years before her disappearance. And understanding how she used that diary, what she typically wrote, is essential to understanding why we should take seriously what she documented about the night calling. Lily started her first diary in November 2018, shortly after turning 13. Her mother, Rebecca, had given her a beautiful hardcover notebook as a birthday present, along with a special pen, and suggested that Lily try writing. About her days, her feelings, anything that came to mind. Rebecca was an English teacher and deeply believed in the therapeutic power of writing, especially for teenagers navigating the complicated waters of that stage of life. Initially, Lily was skeptical. She thought it would be strange that she wouldn't know what to write about, that it would just be another task in a life already full of school obligations. But Rebecca encouraged her to try it for just 1 month, without pressure, without rules about what she should or shouldn't write. And Lily, always willing to try things her mother suggested because they had a relationship of mutual respect, agreed to give it a try. The first entries were exactly what you'd expect from a 13-year-old girl starting a diary. Basic descriptions of her day at school, complaints about boring teachers, observations about who was dating whom, worries about a math test. It was superficial, a little self-conscious, as if Lily wasn't yet sure who the audience was for those words, even knowing they were only for herself. But something interesting happened during that first month. Lily discovered that writing before bed, when the day was over and the house was quiet, created a mental space where she could process things she didn't even know she was feeling. She began to delve deeper, exploring not only what happened, but how she felt about what happened. Why did that friend's comment bother her so much? Why did she feel strange when she saw her parents arguing about finances? Why did certain songs make her feel a melancholy she couldn't name? The transformation in the quality of Lily's writing over the months was remarkable. Gradually, she developed her own voice, a style that was honest, sometimes brutally self-critical, but also compassionate. She didn't embellish things. She didn't pretend to be someone she wasn't. If she felt insecure about her appearance, she wrote about it bluntly. If she was angry with someone, she explored that anger on paper, instead of keeping it bottled up inside. If she was confused about the future, she let that confusion manifest in words. What made Lily's diary particularly valuable as a document of her inner life was its analytical mindset. She didn't just record events and emotions, she tried to understand them. There were entries where she literally talked to herself on the pages, asking questions, proposing answers, questioning those answers. It was as if she were conducting therapy on herself through writing, and in many ways that's exactly what she was doing. Rebecca discovered through occasional conversations that Lily was truly committed to the diary. When the first notebook was full after about 6 months, Lily asked for another, and then another, and another. She never skipped more than a day or two without writing, and when she did, she usually mentioned in the next entry why she had skipped, as if she needed to explain the absence even to herself. The topics Lily explored in her diary covered the full spectrum of the teenage experience. There was a lot about friendships, the complexities of relationships between teenage girls, how someone who was her best friend one day could be distant the next for reasons she didn't fully understand. There were reflections on identity, trying to figure out who she was apart from the expectations of her parents, teachers, and peers. There were worries about the future, anxiety about college and career, and whether she would be able to do something meaningful with her life. But there was also beauty in Lily's pages, descriptions of sunsets she saw that made her stop and really look, small moments of human connection that touched her, like when her younger brother left a sweet note on her bedroom door. Observations about nature, about how the seasons changed, about the first really cold day of autumn or the first warm day of spring. Lily had an eye for details that most people rush past without noticing, and there were also dreams. Lily occasionally wrote about particularly vivid or strange dreams she had, not very often, perhaps once a month or every 2 months, but when a dream impacted her enough, she recorded it. Reading these dream entries months or years before the night call is interesting because it shows that Lily always had an active dream life and that she paid attention to it. She wasn't the type to wake up and immediately forget what she had dreamed. She retained details, reflected on, possible meanings, and wondered why her unconscious mind had created those specific images. The impact of this 3-year practice of consistent writing was that when the night calling began, Lily had an established and reliable tool for processing and documenting what she was experiencing. She wasn't starting from scratch, trying to figure out how to articulate strange experiences. She already had the habit of turning thoughts and feelings into words, of being precise and honest about what was happening internally. Behind the scenes in the Chen family, Lily's diary was respected as private territory. Rebecca had made it clear from the start that she would never read the diary unless Lily invited her, and David agreed with this approach. Max, the youngest brother, occasionally teased Lily about the diary, joking that she was writing about secret crushes or complaining about the family, but he never tried to read it in secret. There was a family understanding that that space belonged only to Lily. Lily took this privacy seriously. She kept her current diary under her mattress, a choice that seems cliché but worked because no one in her house was looking for it. She kept her old diaries, already completely filled, in a box at the back of her closet. She never mentioned specific diary contents to her friends, although they knew she wrote in them. When asked what she wrote about, Lily gave vague answers. Just things, thoughts, the day, you know. She fiercely protected that space. This privacy is part of what makes the diary such a reliable source of truth about what Lily was experiencing. She wasn't writing for an audience. She wasn't trying to impress anyone or create a specific narrative. She was being completely and brutally honest because there was no reason not to be. When she wrote about feeling insecure, about making mistakes, about thoughts that embarrassed her, all of that was there because she trusted that no one else would read it. And when the night calling began and she started writing about it, we can trust that she was being as honest as she was about everything else. She wasn't exaggerating for dramatic effect. She wasn't making things up. She was documenting her real experience, trying to understand it, looking for patterns, questioning her own sanity at times, but always being sincere about what was happening. The revelation of reading Lily's diary after her disappearance was shocking for her parents precisely because they realized how little they knew about their daughter's inner life. Not due to a lack of communication or close relationship, but because Lily processed so much internally in those private pages before deciding what to share externally. And the nighttime call was something she apparently chose not to share, at least not until it was too late. The first mention appeared in an entry dated August 23rd, 2021, a Monday. Lily had returned from summer vacation just 2 weeks prior, was starting 11th grade, and everything seemed normal in her life. That day's entry began with mundane things, complaints about having to wake up early again after a relaxing summer, comments about new teachers, and then, almost as an afterthought, she wrote, "I had a strange dream last night. Or do I think it was a dream? I woke up at 3 in the morning with the strangest feeling that someone was calling me. It wasn't exactly a voice. It was more like knowing I need to go somewhere, but I don't know where. Probably just anxiety about the new school year. I eventually fell back asleep." This first mention is significant precisely because of how casual it seems. Lily wasn't alarmed. She didn't think it was anything important. It was just another random thought among many others. She immediately tried to rationalize it, attributing it to a logical cause like school anxiety, and then she didn't mention it again for almost a week. The second mention came on August 30th, the following Monday. And here, you can already see a subtle change in tone. It happened again. That feeling of being called. Same time, 3 in the morning. I was fast asleep and suddenly I was wide awake, heart racing, with this absolute certainty that I need to be somewhere. I tried to go back to sleep, but it took almost 2 hours. I'm tired today. I hope this doesn't become a pattern because I need to sleep properly to be able to function at school. Lily was now beginning to notice a pattern, but she was still trying to downplay it. The impact on her sleep was what worried her most at that moment, not the strange nature of the experience itself, but you could sense in her words that something was starting to bother her, even if she didn't want to fully admit it. During the first week of September, the mentions became more frequent. On September 2nd, 3 nights in a row now, always 3 in the morning. Always that feeling. I started leaving my phone on with the screen showing the time to confirm. And yes, it's always exactly 3 in the morning when I wake up. That's strange, right? Why always the same time? I researched sleep patterns online, and sometimes people wake up at the same time every night because of circadian rhythms. But this seems different. It's not just waking up, it's waking up with purpose, as if something is pulling me towards awareness. Now you can see Lily's analytical mindset kicking in. She was doing research, trying to find explanations, checking facts. She wanted there to be a simple medical or psychological reason, because that would be much more comfortable than admitting that something genuinely anomalous was happening. On September 5th, the entry revealed a new layer. It's not just an abstract feeling of being called. Today when I woke up at 3, I had a direction, as if I knew I needed to go northwest. I don't know how to explain it. It's like having an internal compass pointing in a specific direction. I lie in bed and feel this pull, this gentle but insistent tug saying, "Come, you need to come." This is starting to scare me a little. Should I tell Mom, but what would I say? That I'm being called by something invisible to the northwest at 3 in the morning. She'll think I'm crazy or that I'm making a drama out of it. The progression was clear. The phenomenon was becoming more specific, more detailed, and Lily was beginning to recognize that perhaps she couldn't explain it easily. The transformation in her thinking from "it's probably" anxiety to "this is scaring me" happened in less than 2 weeks. On September 8th, Lily wrote something particularly revealing. I tried to stay awake before 3 to see if it would still happen. I set an alarm for 2:45. I lay in the dark, waiting. When it was exactly 3 in the morning, it was like something switched on inside my head, a switch being flipped. Suddenly I was completely alert, and that feeling, that calling, was there. Stronger than ever because I was conscious when it started. It was like feeling something connecting with my mind, like something out there knew exactly where I was and was trying to reach me. I turned off the alarm and lay there, heart pounding, wanting to get up and leave the house and head northwest. But obviously I didn't, it would be insane. But the urge was there, strong and terrifying. Now Lily was conducting experiments, trying to understand the mechanics of what was happening. And the revelations she was having were increasingly disturbing. The feeling of connection, of something external reaching her mind, was a significant escalation from what she had initially written. On September 10th, there's an entry showing Lily beginning to question her own sanity. Am I going crazy? Is this what happens when you're developing schizophrenia or something? I read that it sometimes starts in adolescence, but I'm not exactly hearing voices, and I'm not seeing things. It's just this feeling, this knowing, and it only happens at 3 in the morning. During the day I feel completely normal. At school I'm myself, with my friends I'm myself. It's only when I'm sleeping that this happens. I tried to vaguely talk to Emma about having trouble sleeping, and she just said to try melatonin. I can't explain the real problem because it sounds crazy when I try to put it into words. Lily's emotional journey through these entries is painful to read. She was isolated by this experience, questioning her sanity, but also unable to share because she was ashamed or afraid of how she would be perceived. And that's something many teenagers who experience strange things struggle with, the fear of not being taken seriously or of being judged. On September 12th, Lily wrote, 7 nights in a row now. I can't keep functioning with interrupted sleep every night. I'm tired all the time. I almost fell asleep during history class today. But it's not just physical exhaustion. It's mentally exhausting fighting that urge every night. Because the urge to get up and follow the call is getting stronger. I need to actively hold myself back, remind myself that it's irrational, that I can't just go out in the middle of the night. But what if one night I can't hold myself back? What if the urge becomes too strong to resist? There was now a growing awareness that Lily was in a sort of battle of wills, and she was worried about her own ability to continue resisting. That's one of the scariest parts of the diary, realizing that she was feeling her autonomy gradually being compromised. On September 15th, there's a longer, more analytical entry. I tried to map out exactly where the calling is directing me. I opened Google Maps and drew a line northwest of my location. It goes through suburban areas, then rural areas, then Forest Park. That's where the calling points. There's something in Forest Park calling me, or at least it's in that direction. I researched the park. It's huge, over 5,000 acres of forest, thousands of trails. If I went there to look, I wouldn't even know where to begin. And even if I did, what am I looking for? What do I expect to find? It doesn't make sense, but at the same time it does. There's something there. I'm as sure of it as I am sure the sky is blue. It's direct knowledge, not deduction, and that terrifies me. The precision with which Lily was trying to understand and locate the source of the call shows how seriously she was taking this. She wasn't just waiting for it to pass. She was actively investigating, even knowing it sounded irrational. In the following days, the entries became shorter but more frequent, sometimes just a few sentences. It happened again. Stronger. I almost couldn't resist today. I dreamed of trees and a clearing. Is that what the place is like? I'm afraid to sleep. If you're noticing Lily's transformation from skeptical to genuinely frightened, from curious to desperate, write this down. The calling was winning. Because now, we need to see exactly what she was experiencing. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because as the diary entries progressed through September, Lily began to detail specific aspects of the calling that are both fascinating and deeply disturbing. She was trying to dissect the experience, to understand its exact nature, and what she described defies any simple explanation of dreams or imagination. On September 18th, Lily wrote one of the most detailed entries about the nature of the calling. I need to try to explain exactly what it's like, even if it sounds completely crazy. It's not a voice in the traditional sense. Nobody is speaking words into my ears. It's more like thoughts that aren't mine appearing in my head. But they aren't random thoughts, they're directed, intentional. It's as if someone is putting knowledge directly into my mind. And the knowledge is, you need to come, you need to be here, it's time. I don't hear these words, I know them, instantly, in the same way that I know my own name, or know that 2 + 2 = 4. It's direct knowledge, not mediated by language or sound. The way Lily attempted to articulate the difference between hearing a voice and having directly implanted knowledge shows how much she struggled to find vocabulary for something outside of normal human experience. And this description of unmediated knowledge is particularly interesting because it appears in several accounts of paranormal or anomalous experiences. It's not unique to Lily, which raises questions about whether there is anything genuinely real in these phenomena, or if there is something in human psychology that creates similar experiences. On September 20th, Lily added more details. There's also a physical sensation. When the call happens, I feel like my chest is being gently pulled in one direction. It's not painful, it's not violent. It's almost comforting, like when you're homesick and you feel that emotional pull to go back. Except, it's not my home that's pulling me. It's that place in the woods I've never visited. How can I miss a place I've never been? It doesn't make any sense. But the feeling is real. It's as real as anything I've ever felt. The emotional impact of the call was becoming more complex. It wasn't just fear or compulsion. There was a component of attraction, almost of desire. And that made everything more complicated because Lily was fighting not only against something that scared her, but against something that on some level attracted her. Her mindset was being torn between reason that told her to resist and something deeper that wanted to give in. On September 22nd, there is a particularly chilling revelation. Today, when I woke up at 3, there was more than the calling. There were images, like flashes of a vision but clearer than normal dreams. I saw the place. A clearing in the forest surrounded by towering trees. In the center of the clearing, there is a formation of stones. Not large stones like Stonehenge or anything like that. Smaller stones the size of footballs, arranged in a circular pattern. And in the center of the circle, something is shining. I can't see exactly what, because my vision always gets blurry when I try to focus on that part. But there is something there, something waiting for me, and I know with absolute certainty that when I go there, when I finally give in and follow the calling, I will understand everything. This is the moment when Lily first articulates the awareness that following the calling might mean not returning, and yet she continued having these experiences, continued being pulled. The hidden truth she was discovering was that the calling wasn't random or vague. It had a specific destination and purpose, even if that purpose remained mysterious. On September 24th, Lily described something new. There's a melody now, or at least I think it's a melody. It's hard to explain because it's not musical notes that I recognize. It's more like a frequency, a vibration that I feel more than hear. When I wake up at 3, this vibration is present, permeating everything. If I close my eyes and pay attention, I can almost hear it transforming into music, but it's music that doesn't belong to this world. Part of me wants to dance, part of me wants to cry, and part of me wants to run away as fast as possible. The addition of an auditory or vibratory component to the call shows that Lily's experience was becoming more multisensory, more immersive. It wasn't just a thought or a direction, it was becoming a complete experience involving multiple aspects of her perception. On September 26th, an entry reveals the psychological toll. I can't stop thinking about it. Even during the day when I should be focused on school, my mind keeps returning to the calling, to that clearing, to those stones. It's like part of me is already there, like my consciousness is being split, with one part still here, living my normal life, and another part already gone to that place. I'm getting distracted, forgetting conversations, losing track of classes. Emma asked me today if everything was okay, and I almost told her everything. Almost. But then I thought about how it would sound, and I couldn't. How do you explain being called to a magical clearing in the forest by something you can't see or name? Lily's journey was affecting every aspect of her life. It was no longer something confined to 3 in the morning. It was bleeding into the day, changing who she was and how she functioned in the world. And the emotional isolation she felt, the inability to share what she was experiencing, was only intensifying the psychological impact. On September 28th, Lily wrote something that in retrospect seems prophetic. I wonder if other people have ever felt this way, if throughout history people have disappeared because they followed calls that no one else could hear, if those legends about people being drawn to forests by fairy music or the voices of spirits are based on real experiences like mine. Maybe I'm not the first. Maybe I won't be the last. But that doesn't comfort me. It only makes me feel like I'm on a path that other people have walked before and that there's no turning back. There's an inevitability to it that terrifies me, as if no matter how much I resist, eventually I'll give in, because the call is getting stronger and I'm getting weaker. The sense of inevitability that Lily described is one of the most frightening parts of the entire diary. She didn't feel like she had any real control over what would happen. She felt like she was simply delaying something that was already determined, and that loss of agency, that erosion of free will, is deeply disturbing. On September 30th, the last entry of that month, Lily wrote, 3 weeks now, 21 nights of being woken up at 3 in the morning, 21 nights of fighting the urge to get up and go in that direction. I don't know how much longer I can do this. The rational part of me says to tell my parents, to see a doctor, to get professional help. But another part, the part that's connected to the calling, says that nobody can help, that this is something only I can solve, that it's my destiny or my journey or whatever. I hate that part of me. I hate that it's getting stronger. I hate that sometimes, when the calling happens, I really want to go, not out of fear or compulsion, but because I genuinely want to find out what's there. And that urge is the scariest thing of all. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because one of the central tragedies of this case is that Lily tried, in various ways and on several occasions, to communicate what was happening. She didn't remain completely silent, but her attempts to ask for help were misunderstood, minimized, or simply not taken with the seriousness they deserved. And you can follow this growing frustration through the pages of the diary. The first documented attempt was on October 1st. I tried to talk to Mom today, kind of. I didn't tell her about the calling directly because I know how it would sound. But I said I was having trouble sleeping, that I woke up every night at the same time. She asked if I was stressed about school, said we should maybe make an appointment with the doctor if it continued, but then Max interrupted because he needed help with homework, and the moment passed. She completely forgot. How do I say, actually, Mom, something is literally calling me to the woods? The impact of this first attempt was that Lily realized indirect approaches wouldn't work. She would need to be completely honest, or she wouldn't be taken seriously. But complete honesty seemed impossible because she herself could hardly believe what she was experiencing. On October 3rd, Lily tried it with her best friend Emma. I had lunch with Emma today and tried to test the waters. I asked if she'd ever had strange experiences like dreams that seemed too real or sensations of being pulled somewhere. She laughed and said she once had a super realistic dream where she was the Queen of England. Then she started talking about her crush. I couldn't bring her back to what I really wanted to say. Emma is amazing, but I don't know if she would take this seriously. Lily's mindset was shifting regarding who could truly help her. She was realizing that her friends, despite being dear to her, might not be the right people to understand something so unusual. On October 6th, Dad asked me at dinner if I was feeling okay. I said I looked tired lately. He has that worried look parents get when they want to help but don't know exactly what to ask. I said I was fine, just tired from school. He seemed to accept that, but I can still feel him watching me more. I hate worrying them. But I don't know how to explain the truth without them thinking I'm having a mental breakdown. Behind the scenes in the Chen family, the parents were indeed beginning to notice changes in Lily. Rebecca mentioned to David that Lily seemed more distant. David had noticed the dark circles under her eyes, how distracted she seemed, but they attributed it to typical teenage school stress. On October 9th, Lily made a bolder decision. I decided to try talking to Ms. Patterson, my school counselor. When I arrived at her office, she was very kind. I started with the normal things, talking about workload, and then I tried to mention the sleep problems. She suggested relaxation techniques, meditation apps, a better sleep routine, all very helpful for normal sleep problems, but not for what's really happening. I tried to dig deeper, saying that sometimes I woke up with strange sensations. She asked if they were nightmares. She had another student waiting. She told me to come back if the techniques didn't help. I left feeling more alone than when I arrived. The transformation of hope into disappointment that Lily experienced is palpable. She had taken a risk, tried to ask for help, but the system was equipped to deal with common teenage anxiety, not with genuinely anomalous experiences. On October 12th, a more desperate attempt. I did something stupid today, or maybe brave. I waited for my mother in the living room and said bluntly that I needed to tell her something. She was immediately worried. When I started explaining about waking up every night, about the feeling of being called, about the visions of the clearing, I saw her expression change. From worry to confusion to something that seemed like relief. She said very gently that sometimes our minds create vivid things when we are under stress, that adolescence is a confusing period, that if I wanted, she would make an appointment with a therapist. I tried to explain that it wasn't just feelings, that it was real. But the more I insisted, the more worried she became. Eventually, I stopped talking. I said that maybe therapy would be a good idea. She hugged me and said that everything would be all right. But it won't, will it? The most painful revelation from this attempt was that Rebecca's concern ended up making things worse for Lily. Because now Lily knew that if she continued to insist, she would be seen as mentally unstable. And that made her withdraw, shut down even more. October 15th. Mom scheduled an appointment with a therapist for next week. She's also been extra kind to me, making my favorite foods, asking how my day was with that caring tone. I appreciate the concern, but I hate being treated like I'm going to break down at any moment. And now I'm afraid to write too much in my journal because what if she decides to read it? Maybe I should stop documenting. But writing is the only thing keeping me sane. October 18th. I went to therapy today. Dr. Sarah Kim. She seems nice. We spent the first session establishing rapport. We talked about my family, school, friends. When I finally mentioned sleep problems, she asked about my nighttime routine if I use screens before bed. I couldn't get myself to talk about the calling, not in the first session. For now, I'm just going with the flow. The impact of all these failed attempts was that Lily was becoming more withdrawn, more isolated. Ironically, the more she tried to ask for help, the less capable she felt of being truly honest. On October 20th, I saw Mom and Dad talking quietly in the kitchen today. I caught fragments, Mom saying something about a difficult phase and we need to be careful. They're worried about me and I'm worried about myself, but we're worried about different things. They think I'm having typical emotional problems. I know something real is going on, And that gap between what they think and what I know is insurmountable. If you've ever tried to explain something important but were completely misunderstood, if you've ever felt profoundly alone, even surrounded by people who care, write this down. Nobody was really listening. Because now we need to see Lily's latest entries. The last 2 weeks of Lily's diary are the hardest to read because you can feel the inevitability approaching. There's a palpable shift in tone, a gradual acceptance replacing fear and resistance. And when you read those pages, knowing how the story ends, every word takes on a devastating weight. On October 23rd, the entry begins with a revelation. Something has changed. I can't explain exactly what, but the call is different now. It's no longer just a gentle attraction. It's an urgency, as if a clock is ticking and time is running out. When I wake up at 3 in the morning, the feeling is no longer, you should come eventually. It's, you need to come soon. And along with this urgency, there's a new knowing. A date. I don't know how I know, but I know. I have until October 31st, Halloween. How fitting, right? The night when the veil between worlds supposedly gets thinnest. 10 days. I have 10 days to decide what to do. The transformation in Lily's mindset is clear. She was no longer questioning whether the call was real. She was accepting it as fact, and now dealing with practical decisions about how to respond. And the specificity of the date, Halloween, adds a layer of symbolism that is both intriguing and frightening. October 25th. I went to my second therapy session today. Dr. Kim asked how I was doing with the relaxation techniques. I lied and said they were helping. She seemed pleased. We talked about school, pressures and college plans, safe and normal stuff. I left feeling like a fraud. Here I am sitting in a comfortable office discussing anxiety about SATs when I actually know that in less than a week I'll have to make the most important decision of my life. To go or not to go. To resist or to give in. But I can't talk about it with her because how do you explain having a divine deadline to follow a mystical calling? The impact of this dissonance between what Lily was experiencing and what she was able to communicate to the outside world was becoming unbearable. She was living 2 parallel realities, and the true one was completely invisible to everyone around her. On October 27th, there's an entry that seems almost like a veiled farewell. I spent the day with Emma, Sophia, and Zoe today. We went to the mall, had coffee, laughed at silly things. It was good. It was normal. And I tried to record every moment in my memory because I don't know if I'll have many moments like this again. They don't know I was saying goodbye to them. How could they know? But I was, memorizing their faces, their laughter, the ease of simple and uncomplicated friendship. The life I have now, however imperfect it may be, is good. And I'm about to throw it away for something I can't even explain properly. Lily's emotional journey through these past few weeks shows someone processing what would essentially be a farewell to the life she knew. She wasn't planning suicide in the traditional sense, but she recognized that following the calling would mean leaving everything behind. October 28th. Family dinner tonight was strange. Everyone was there, Mom, Dad, Max, eating lasagna and talking about their days. And I was there, but at the same time I wasn't. Part of me was already gone. I looked at each of them and tried to memorize. The way Dad tells bad jokes that only he finds funny. The way Mom always puts more food on my plate even when I say I'm full. The way Max complains about everything, but secretly loves his family. That's what I'll miss the most, not the big things, the little things, the ordinary moments that make up a life. I almost told them everything right there at the table. I almost said, in 3 days, I'm going to leave in the middle of the night and follow a calling to the forest and maybe I won't come back. But I couldn't, because I would destroy them and what could they do? Lock me in my room. That wouldn't stop the calling. It would find a way. Behind the scenes of that last week, the Chen family was completely oblivious to what was to come. Rebecca thought Lily seemed a little melancholic, but attributed it to typical teenage feelings. David noticed Lily was quieter, but thought perhaps the therapy was helping her process things internally. On October 29th, there's a longer, more reflective entry. 2 days. I feel it in my body now, not just in my mind. It's as if every cell is vibrating with anticipation. I haven't slept almost at all this week. When I close my eyes, I see the clearing so clearly, I could draw every tree, every stone. And the bright thing in the center of the circle is becoming more visible. I still can't see exactly what it is, but I know it's beautiful and terrible at the same time. I know that when I touch it, when I finally get there and touch whatever it is, I'll understand everything. All the questions I've ever had about life, death, meaning, purpose, everything will be answered. But the price is leaving. Everything I know. Is that a fair price? Is it reasonable? I don't know. But I know I'll pay it anyway because the alternative, resisting when the deadline comes, seems impossible now. The calling is no longer something external. It's inside me, part of me. To resist would be to resist myself. Lily's acceptance of what was about to happen is one of the most moving and frightening parts of the diary. She wasn't going happily. She was acknowledging a compulsion that had become irresistible. On October 30th, the day before her disappearance. Tomorrow, it's tomorrow. I know I'll wake up at 3 in the morning as usual, but tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow I won't resist. I'll get up, I'll get dressed silently, I'll go out the front door, and I'll follow that northwest direction to Forest Park. I'll find the clearing. I'll enter the circle of stones, and I'll discover what has been calling me all these nights. I'm writing this as a record, as evidence. If anyone finds this diary, you'll know I didn't get lost. I didn't run away from home because I was unhappy. I wasn't kidnapped, I was called and I answered. Please tell my family that I love them. Tell them it wasn't their fault. There was nothing they could do. Tell them I hope, wherever I go, it will be beautiful, that everything I'm leaving behind will be worthwhile. I'm afraid, but I'm also curious, and maybe it's curiosity, more than fear or compulsion, that finally makes me go. I need to know. I need to understand. And tomorrow at 3 in the morning I will find out. This penultimate entry functions almost like a farewell letter. Lily was clearly aware that something definitive was about to happen, and she was, within the limits of her impossible situation, trying to leave an explanation for those who would remain searching for answers. The last entry was written on October 31st itself, in the afternoon. It's Halloween. The day has arrived. I'm at school now, writing this during recess. Everything seems surreal. Halloween decorations everywhere, people excited about parties tonight. Everything so normal. And I'm here knowing that in 12 hours, my life will change forever. I observed every person I passed today and thought, I'm going to miss you all. I'm going to miss this ordinary, predictable world where the biggest drama is who's going to the dance with whom. This is my last entry. When I write again, if I write again, it will be as a different person. Or maybe I'll never write again. But I want to end this diary by saying, I chose this. However complicated the truth may be, however irresistible the call may be, I still feel it's a choice. And I choose to find out. I choose to know. I choose to go. Whatever awaits me in that clearing, I face it consciously and with open eyes. Goodbye for now. October 31st, 2021 was a Tuesday. It was a normal school day followed by Halloween night, and Portland was filled with that typical holiday energy. For the Chen family, it began like any other day, completely unaware that before the next dawn, Lily would have disappeared. Rebecca woke Lily at 6:30 as usual. She later told investigators that Lily seemed tired, but that wasn't unusual. Lily went downstairs for breakfast, ate toast with jam and drank orange juice. The conversation at the table was about Halloween plans. Lily said she would probably stay home handing out candy. This didn't worry Rebecca, because Lily was never much of a party person. The school bus arrived at 7:20. The driver, Frank Williams, remembered Lily getting on as usual, sitting in her usual seat. She was wearing jeans, a grey long-sleeved shirt, and a light jacket. She had her headphones on as always, and spent the ride looking out the window. At school, Lily's presence was recorded in all classes. Teachers later confirmed that she was there, quiet as always, but seemingly normal. At lunch, Emma, Sophia, and Zoe sat with her. Emma later said that Lily seemed a little distant, but when asked if everything was all right, Lily smiled and said yes. They talked about Halloween costumes, about plans for the weekend. Lily participated normally, made jokes, laughed at the right moments. There was no sign that this would be the last time her friends would see her. The last class was literature with Mrs. Martinez. They were discussing Hamlet. The teacher remembered Lily commenting on how sometimes the most important decisions aren't between doing something or not doing something, but between two equally irrevocable actions. The teacher found the comment insightful. He had no way of knowing that Lily was processing her own impossible decision. School ended at 3 in the afternoon. Security cameras showed Lily leaving the building and walking to the bus stop. She took the bus back home at 3:15. Frank Williams saw her get off at her usual stop at 3:42. She waved to him as she always did. That was the last time anyone definitively saw Lily Chen alive. Now I want to delve even deeper into this matter, because what happened in the following hours can only be reconstructed through indirect evidence and the diary itself. Rebecca arrived home from work around 5 o'clock. Lily was in her room doing homework, or so it seemed. Rebecca knocked on the door and asked how her day had been. Lily said it was good. They talked briefly about dinner. Dinner started at 6. The whole family was there. David had arrived home from work. Max was complaining about having too much homework, and Lily ate quietly. Rebecca noticed that Lily was quieter than usual, but attributed it to tiredness. No one knew that Lily was memorizing that moment, recording the faces of her family. After dinner, around 7 o'clock, the first children in costumes began ringing the doorbell. Lily volunteered to answer the door and spent the next hour handing out candy and smiling at the little children. The neighbors who saw her said she seemed completely normal, perhaps a little melancholy, but nothing alarming. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Lily told her parents she was tired and was going to her room. Rebecca and David didn't think twice. She hugged her mother for a moment longer than usual, and Rebecca remembered that hug afterward. How tight it was, how Lily had murmured, "I love you, Mom," with a particular intensity. Lily went up to her room at 8:15, and this is where her journey becomes private. She probably prepared carefully. Evidence found later suggests she put on appropriate clothing for a night walk, sturdy sneakers and a heavier jacket. She deliberately left her cell phone on the bedside table. She left her wallet. She only took a small flashlight. The Chen family went to bed around 10:30. The house was quiet. And then at 3 in the morning, exactly as Lily had written it would happen, the call came for the last time. And this time, she didn't resist. The house's security system included a camera on the front door. At 3:14 a.m., the camera captured Lily descending the stairs silently, dressed in dark jeans, a black jacket, and sneakers. She carefully unlocked the front door, stepped out, and gently closed it behind her. The expression on her face, captured in grainy black and white, was one of calm determination. She didn't seem scared. She looked like someone who had made a decision. A neighbor's camera captured Lily walking down the street at 3:17, heading northwest. A traffic camera caught her 2 blocks further away at 3:23, and then the cameras run out. Portland has many areas without surveillance coverage, especially towards the parks, but eyewitness accounts fill in some of the gaps. A man who worked the night shift saw a teenage girl walking alone around 3:30 in the morning. He considered stopping and asking if she needed help, but she seemed so determined that he assumed she knew where she was going. He regretted that decision for the rest of his life. A security guard at a commercial building saw someone matching Lily's description walking past at 3:47, heading towards Forest Park. He also did not intervene, assuming it was a young adult returning from a party. And then, nothing. Lily Chen entered Forest Park sometime between 4 and 5 in the morning on November 1st, and was never seen again. The last physical evidence of her presence are footprints that were found days later on a trail leading into the deeper part of the park. The footprints matched Lily's sneakers and continued for about 3 kilometers before leaving the path and entering the dense forest, and then they simply disappeared. The impact of the perfect match between what Lily wrote in her diary and what actually happened is impossible to overstate. She said she would leave at 3 in the morning. She left at 3:14. She said she would head northwest towards Forest Park. That's exactly what she did. She said she would consciously go. The video evidence shows someone walking with self-assured determination. The diary functioned as a perfect prophetic roadmap. If you're only now realizing that Lily literally documented her own disappearance before it happened, write this down. The diary predicted everything, because now we need to talk about how the diary was discovered and what the authorities did. Rebecca Chen woke up at 7 in the morning on November 1st to prepare breakfast and realized that Lily wasn't in her room. Initially, she didn't panic. Perhaps Lily had gone for a walk, although that was unusual. But when 7:30 passed and 8 and there was no sign of Lily, and her cell phone was on the bedside table along with her wallet, Rebecca began to feel that growing fear that every parent knows. David called the police at 8:20 a.m. The Portland Police Department initially treated it as a runaway teen case. But when the parents mentioned that Lily had left without her cell phone or wallet, and when they saw security camera footage showing her leaving at 3 a.m., the nature of the investigation quickly changed. Detective Sarah Morrison was assigned as lead investigator. She had 15 years of experience on missing persons cases and approached the case with appropriate urgency. The first 24 hours are critical. Footage was distributed to all units. Witnesses along Lily's route were identified and interviewed, and a search in Forest Park was organized to begin the following morning. It was during the initial search of Lily's room that Rebecca made the discovery that would change the entire investigation. She was looking under the mattress and found the diary, a hardcover notebook with pages filled with Lily's cursive handwriting. Rebecca began reading right there, and within minutes she was calling David, her hands trembling. Detective Morrison received an urgent call from the Chens at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When he arrived at the house and began reading the diary, his expression shifted from professional curiosity to genuine confusion, and then to something bordering on disbelief. Because there, meticulously documented over weeks, was the complete explanation for Lily's disappearance. But it was an explanation that defied all conventional logic. Morrison took the diary to the police station and spent the afternoon reading each entry. She brought her superior, Captain Robert Hayes, to review it as well, and together they tried to process what they had in their hands. On the one hand, it was clear evidence that Lily hadn't been kidnapped, that her disappearance was voluntary. On the other hand, the explanation Lily offered, the nightly calls, the compulsion to go to Forest Park, the visions of a clearing with stones, it all sounded like delirium. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject because the way the authorities handled the diary reveals a lot about how our institutions deal with events that don't fit into conventional categories. Morrison made the decision to take the diary seriously as a source of information about where to look, even though he didn't understand Lily's explanation. The diary specifically mentioned Forest Park, mentioned heading northwest, mentioned a clearing with rocks. These were concrete clues. The search in Forest Park intensified based on information from the diary. Search and rescue teams, sniffer dogs, and volunteers scoured the northwestern part of the park, focusing on areas with clearings. The park has over 5,000 acres of dense forest, making the search extremely challenging. But the diary at least provided some direction. On the third day of the search, November 4th, one of the teams found the footprints. They matched the size and pattern of Lily's sneakers and followed a less used trail into the most remote part of the park. The footprints were followed for 3 kilometers until they left the trail and entered the woods. And then, inexplicably, they simply stopped. There were no signs of struggle, no disturbance of the ground. The footprints simply ended as if Lily had ceased to exist at that point. Extensive searches of the surrounding area revealed nothing. There was no body, no clothing, no signs of an animal attack. Sniffer dogs completely lost the trail at the point where the footprints stopped. The investigation also focused on verifying whether there was indeed a clearing with stones matching Lily's description. Forest rangers who had worked at Forest Park for decades were consulted, and surprisingly, a clearing vaguely matching the description was found about 1 kilometer beyond where the footprints stopped, in an extremely remote area. The clearing had natural rock formations, although not in the exact circular pattern Lily described, but it was in the right direction, in the right area. The forensic team examined the clearing meticulously. They found nothing conclusive. Some fibers that could be from clothing, but they couldn't be definitively linked to Lily. Morrison also investigated the possibility that Lily was mentally ill and that the diary was a manifestation of psychiatric illness. She spoke extensively with Dr. Sarah Kim, the therapist. Dr. Kim reviewed her notes and said that Lily had not shown obvious signs of psychosis. She seemed anxious, perhaps depressed, but not delusional. Teachers and friends were interviewed, They all described Lily as a normal girl, a little quiet, but not disturbed or unstable. There was no history of drug use. There was no known trauma. From the point of view of everyone who knew Lily, she was the last person you would expect to have a mental breakdown. The case attracted national media attention. The story of a teenage girl who documented in her diary being called into the woods and then disappearing exactly as she predicted was irresistible to journalists. But the attention yielded no new clues. There were no confirmed sightings of Lily after she entered the park. 6 months after the disappearance, with no body found, no evidence of a crime, no leads, the case was officially classified as a missing person case under unexplained circumstances. It remains technically open, but there is no active investigation. The diary is filed as evidence, a disturbing piece that raises more questions than it answers. Morrison said in interviews that Lily's case haunts her more than any other, because usually even unsolved cases have a working theory. But with Lily, every explanation has serious problems. If it was a leak, why leave her cell phone and wallet? If it was suicide, where is the body? If it was a crime, who committed it and how? Lily Chen was never found. No body, no clothes, no trace other than those footprints that inexplicably stop. She is listed as a missing person, and her family lives in a painful limbo between grief and hope. Lily Chen's case remains unsolved to this day, more than 3 years after that Halloween night when she last left home. Her parents, Rebecca and David, still live in the same house in Portland, keeping Lily's room exactly as it was. Rebecca says that sometimes she still goes in there and sits on the bed, holding her daughter's pillow, trying to understand what really happened. David established a foundation in Lily's name, dedicated to supporting research on teenagers who report unusual experiences or premonitions. Max, the younger brother, is now 16, the same age Lily was when she disappeared. He says he sometimes has dreams about his sister, dreams where she is somewhere beautiful but unreachable, trying to say something he can't hear. Lily's friends, Emma, Sophia, and Zoe, all graduated from high school and went to different colleges, but they stay in touch, united by their shared trauma. Emma said in an interview that Lily's disappearance fundamentally changed how she relates to people. She pays more attention now when someone seems distracted and asks more deeply when someone says they're okay, but doesn't seem to be. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject because Lily's case raises fundamental questions about the nature of adolescence, perception, and how our society deals with experiences that defy rational understanding. Are adolescents really more sensitive to calls, perceptions, and phenomena that adults can no longer perceive? Is there something in the neurochemistry or psychology of adolescence that makes young people more open to anomalous experiences? Some researchers who studied the case suggest that adolescence is a period of increased neural plasticity where the brain is still developing. This plasticity may make adolescents more susceptible to unusual perceptual experiences, more capable of processing subtle sensory information that adult brains automatically filter out. It's an interesting theory, but it doesn't explain the specificity and precision of what Lily experienced. Others point to the fact that adolescents, culturally and historically, have often been seen as having access to mystical or prophetic knowledge. Oracles in ancient cultures were often young. Religious and spiritual visions are disproportionately reported by adolescents. Perhaps there is something about being in that liminal stage between childhood and adulthood that makes consciousness more permeable. Or perhaps Lily was simply documenting an internal psychological journey that only she could understand, using the language of callings and visions to process something entirely different. Perhaps the calling was an unconscious metaphor for pressures or desires she couldn't directly articulate. Perhaps Forest Park represented escape, transformation, a desire to leave behind the expectations of everyday life. But this psychological explanation struggles to account for certain facts. Lily didn't exhibit typical signs of a suicidal crisis. She wasn't socially isolated. She wasn't failing at school. She hadn't experienced recent trauma. She had plans for the future. And most importantly, she questioned her own sanity extensively in her diary. She considered all rational explanations, sought therapy, and tried to rationalize. The hidden truth may be that we will never truly know what happened to Lily Chen. And perhaps it is fitting that some mysteries remain unsolved, reminding us of the limits of human knowledge. But what we can learn from this case is not about the calling itself, but about the importance of truly listening when young people say something is wrong. How often do we dismiss teenage concerns as drama? How often do we attribute genuine experiences to overactive imagination or attention-seeking? Lily's case is a devastating reminder that sometimes, when a young person is trying to communicate something, even if it sounds strange or irrational, they may be asking for help in a way we don't know how to recognize. Rebecca Chen has spoken publicly about her deep regret at not taking Lily's initial attempts to talk about her sleep problems more seriously. She constantly wonders if, had she truly listened, truly investigated, perhaps she could have intervened before Lily felt compelled to follow the call on her own. It's a burden no parent should have to carry, but it's also a lesson we can all learn. The mindset we need to cultivate, as parents, as educators, as a society, is one of genuine openness when young people share experiences we don't understand. We don't need to believe in mystical callings to take someone's suffering or confusion seriously. We can validate the person's experience even while seeking explanations and appropriate help. The impact of Lily's case on the Portland community was profound. Schools implemented new protocols to identify struggling students. Counselors were trained to ask deeper questions, not to accept superficial answers. There is a renewed awareness that teenagers may be carrying invisible burdens. And surprisingly, other people came forward after Lily's story became public, sharing their own experiences of callings or compulsions they felt as young people but never acted on. People who heard voices or felt inexplicable pulls to specific places but resisted. This suggests that perhaps Lily wasn't unique in having such experiences, just unique in documenting them so meticulously and eventually giving in to them. The journey of trying to understand Lily's case inevitably leads us to questions about the nature of adolescent consciousness. Are there periods in human life when we are more open to perceptions that we later lose? Does the maturation process involve closing perceptual doors that were previously open? And if so, what do we lose in this closing? Behind the scenes in the scientific community, there is growing interest in studying anomalous experiences reported specifically by teenagers. Lily's diary, with the family's permission, was made available to researchers under strict conditions. Some see in it evidence of genuinely unexplained phenomena. Others see a tragic case of undiagnosed mental illness, but all agree that it deserves to be taken seriously. If you're realizing now that perhaps the biggest mystery isn't what happened to Lily, but why we didn't listen when she tried to tell us, write in the comments, "We need to listen better," because that's the most important lesson we can learn. Look, if you've made it this far with me, if you've followed Lily's entire journey from the first mentions of the calling to that Halloween night, if you've read each entry in her diary with me and felt the weight of what she was carrying alone, I truly want to thank you. It's not easy to delve into stories that make us question not only what happened to a person, but how much we really pay attention when someone is trying to tell us that something is wrong. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now's the time. Because every week I bring you real cases like Lily's, stories that go beyond the superficial mystery and make us reflect on adolescence, on awareness, on the importance of truly listening to the people around us. And I do this with the same care and respect you saw here today, treating each life, each story, with the dignity it deserves, without cheap sensationalism, but also without fear of exploring the difficult questions these cases raise. And if you really stayed with me until the end, if Lily's story touched you in some way, leave a comment saying, "The diary was a cry for help. I read every comment, every personal story you share about ignored intuitions or moments when someone tried to communicate something important but wasn't heard." These accounts form a community of people who understand that sometimes the truth is more complex than any simple explanation. Click the like button too, because that helps this type of content reach more people, especially parents and educators who need to be reminded of the importance of taking seriously when young people say something is wrong, even if it sounds strange or inexplicable. And before you go, there's a video here about that case of the nurse who told her friend about a figure in her dreams. and disappeared that same night. It's another story that will make you question the line between premonition and reality, between individual consciousness and something greater that connects all our minds. Click and continue with me there, because the journey through the deepest mysteries of human experience is only just beginning. Until the next case that no one can forget.